Hey, so now we have the clarity of overview, and this is the moment that we actually try to see how it works for member, leader, and TM. One thing that we see here too is a few things that we need to consider in terms of responsibilities and at the same time the rights the person has for the experience. So try to already think about not just your situation but your LC. Cool. So the first one we have here is the Clerks Who in a nutshell. It is a one pager. It was done between end of 1718, maximum beginning of 1819. This one is actually pretty good to have like printed and everywhere because it explains everything in one page. So try to have it, and always if you forget something, you can just take a look here because it's like super simple. And then what we are going to do, we are going to check the three stages we have inside the how that are connected with the who. The first one here is related with the member journey. So what are the things that they receive? And at the same time, what are the things that they should be doing? Because anyways, things depends of leaders, but as well depend of the members. So what are the things and what they should consider inside? You see here, like I pretty much made a phrase here to try to understand how everything connects. But what I want to bring mostly from here is that one, the member is everyone that has a leader. So like team leaders, they are members too because they have the VP. We have VPs being members too because they have the LCP and so on. So any situation that you are a member, you have this kind of journey and you have things that you're going to develop. So things that depends on you and depends on others. One thing really important to remember here is that, for example, the member receives the team standards. So it's a right for them to have these things happening so they can perform. That's why it's important to have the leaders always understanding that even if TM is taking care of some stuff, like it's the leader's responsibility to do many things like team standards. Then, of course, we have them developing the competences that usually depends from both sides because the member should like be the ones wanting to have it and use these spaces. But at the same time, if the leader and Isaac in general is not actually bringing things to develop the members, it makes hard for them. The values again depends on more actually from the leader to leave it and give the example, but the member they need to be open to understand, and even if there is maybe something that they don't agree, to have some level of respect. Then of course the inner and outer journey, it's important to have these external things happening and external support and so on, but at the same time it's important for the member to have these inner moments and really think about the experience. Like I know that some people may be like, oh, I don't want to be so introspective or I don't like this kind of things, but I believe that some kind of reflection is always good to understand why maybe you feel some way that you think or that you react or so and anything else. But yeah, try as well to make them see how everything connects to their growth, especially when you consider the leadership qualities, because this is a moment that they may not see it so clearly, but if we find a way to show to them, it will be good. So consider a lot how you can make them understand it and actually ask to have these things, and if they maybe are still a little bit resistant with some stuff, be sure to support them to try to find a way to overcome it. Then we have the team leader, or in this case anyone that is in a leadership position. Here again you can see the phrase that I did to explain, but one thing that I just want to make clear, I know we put here achieves 2020, but remember that once 1920 finishes, there is Isaac 2025 that's going to come. So even if it's not 2020 anymore, the team leader and the member are still doing things for the vision. So whatever is the vision, they are doing something for it. Cool? Nice. And yeah, here you can see that we have the blue code. I put here again the links in the images because the blue code it's pretty much the main guideline we have for leaders. Of course, there is a difference between someone with a role of 2 months or 6 months or 12 months. But anyway, it's a very good guideline to be considered. I really strongly suggest to read it because mostly for me, one of the things that we sometimes forget is that innovation is not always about, finding new trainings or new things. It's just maybe just doing the basics properly. So in this case, maybe in some situation, the entity issue can be because we are not actually developing the leaders properly because we are not implementing team standards properly. So if this is your case, I really suggest to actually focus a lot in that, and then the results will come from it. Cool. Now, what is TM responsible for? In this case, like it's important to consider that TM, yes, is the final responsible, but we are not alone in this situation. We just need to be the ones to like buy this fight and actually fight in the sense of having people understanding the importance and doing the things that they are expected to do. So here again, I try to bring the explanation of it in these phrases, but what I believe it's the most important here is we have like many processes that depend, for example, on EP supports and even team leaders not just supporting but actually being more, participative. So, for example, we deliver the TM processes because we want to develop the competences, and in these, usually what we embed the values because, as I said before, like the values are important and they are part of the organization. So, if we want to talk about these values, we actually need to showcase them always and live these values, or else, like, there is no point in having values if they just exist. And this pretty much is how TM still supports the goals. Because if the members are having good experiences, if they are learning, if they are feeling engaged, they will actually want to keep in the organization, they will see the purpose, and will have like stronger pipeline for the future. And then this pipeline can become even more stronger, and then entities that may have, let's say, issues even on national level, they could actually find VPs from local entities becoming MCVPs because they want to keep being the organization and supporting it. So that's why I say that's super important for TM to do these things because there are entities that I know that they have this kind of, let's say, needs to have people from outside because their own countries usually they don't have people wanting to be longer than, let's say, 1 year or 2 years maximum. And lastly, of course, for TM, we consider 2D spaces because in terms of, for example, accessibility, like some countries, they have issues in terms of internet. So internet stuff like this one may be a little bit bad for them if we have like super big videos or files. But at the same time, there may come places that, for example, people are more into, growing if they actually have a small group. So team spaces or small summits from the function than, for example, being in a huge conference. Or some people may be actually already good in functionals, but they still struggle in terms of inner stuff and they need more like one-to-ones. Or, of course, the opposites, where they actually already have some experiences in life and they know themselves as well, but they want to have the professional experience, so they need to understand more the area that they are working. That's why it's super important that TM really understand this and ensure that EBs and team leaders are giving their inputs too, so that things can be considered from everyone's perspective and we can actually develop useful spaces for everyone. And what I believe that is the most important from it that we always need to remember as TMers is that it's our responsibility to guarantee that these things happen. It's not our responsibility to do everything, but we must do the things good. So even if in terms of the TM processes you can't do everything 100%, if you're doing like 20%, but this 20% is working perfectly, it's already good because like this you can ensure that is being a process that there is a clear routine and people get used, so the moment they get used you can actually start adding more stuff. So always have it in your mind. And actually in terms of having it in mind, one thing that I will ask is for a task because we have this tree, and I believe that it would be really nice to see how do you evaluate the situation of your LC considering these three overviews. So how is the path of the member, of the leader, and of TM? Like, what did you sign in the previous term? What do you see so far now? How do you want to see it in the future? Like, really think about these elements, about everything that's present in this tree, and make something to share. How do you see that in your LC? It doesn't need to be like super pretty unless you like it, so it's okay. But be sure to share because it's even a reflection moment for you, because I know that sometimes we don't have these spaces to think about, or maybe we have a mindset, but then after some trainings and so on, you maybe already have another vision. So try to bring it for us and share, because for sure we want to consider not just this to be aware, but who knows, maybe we can actually have some really nice GCPs here and we can share these GCPs to the network. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. And this is all for now from my side. Wish you all the best. Bye.